Hello, and welcome to another episode of Game Design Lab, something that I just started last week based on playing some solo RPGs. My name is Kat Kruger. My pronouns are she, her, and I am a freelance narrative game designer. Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining in chat again. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna give a little bit of a background for anybody who might be joining a little bit later or watching this video on demand. So yeah, I'm a freelance game designer. I sort of got my start writing, for 5e D&D, but have since worked on other projects, including a lot of board games. So one of my most recent board games is Betrayal at House on the Hill, third edition. I was really excited to be able to work on this because it's actually one of my favorite board games. Um, and I did get to write a haunt ages and ages ago for when Betrayal came out with the Baldur's Gate edition. So I designed and co-designed two haunts in that one. But yeah, I actually got to do a number of haunts for Betrayal at House on the Hill for the most latest edition, which was really fun. Um, yeah, my work is mostly in board games right now. I got my first, I guess, video game video game adjacent um, credit working with Larian Studios. First with their Divinity Original Sin board game, but also I got to write an ARG, which is like an augmented reality game for ahead of Betrayal at not Betrayal, Baldur's Gate 3. So they had this thing called Blood in Baldur's Gate where you got to um, every day sort of go through this series of grisly murders happening around Baldur's Gate and try to figure out who was behind it. And that was ahead of the launch of um, or the announcement for the Dark Urge. Betrayal games are a lot of fun. They definitely are like in the haunted uh, house, spooky, sometimes a little bit like I mean it's horror, right? So, if you enjoy horror and like haunted house type of things, this is definitely a game for you. It's not quite Scooby-Doo. It's a little bit more frightening than that, but they do have a Scooby-Doo edition, um, so it's less scary. Um, and yeah, there's also like it's usually there's uh, there's a traitor involved, so, you're playing amongst a group of people and one of you has to be the traitor. And I think with the Scooby-Doo version, they kind of reworked that so that, kids wouldn't necessarily have to feel like they're turning on their friends, which is an interesting I thought that was an interesting design choice. Speaking of design, though, we are in Game Design Lab right now. Last week, we created a really fun NPC from scratch. Her name is Dahlia Stonefell. She's a goblin artificer, and if you are backer on Patreon, you will see that she is now um, you've got a little bit of information that you can take away and put her into a game if you would like. So we came up with um, just a little bit of backstory for Dahlia, some of her driving interests, and then I kind of went from there and added a few things in the Patreon post. It's definitely a character that you can flesh out a little bit more, giving more clues about what she knows in an adventure. Um, once you actually have a place for her, and it was an interesting. Um, I think we took an interesting approach because and I think, game design is this often when you're especially when you're just working on your own as a freelancer and you're just coming up with ideas. So for Dahlia, we had no place for her. There's no location. We were just doing it as a creative exercise. So, we didn't really have a starting place. And so I think part of game design is, um, allowing yourself to be a little bit messy. Um, there's kind of like no wrong ideas or no wrong approach. I think that's what I'm hoping um, everyone watching this gets out of it. You can start pretty much in um, at any place and design something. And I think what we started with was the question, what is Dolly? What is this character's motivation? What do they want? And then we started asking more questions until we landed on something that sparked some interest. And then we have what I think is a pretty fully fleshed out character for, an hour. However, today I thought we would try something, um, instead of doing another NPC, we could actually flesh out like a location for Dahlia to interact with or live in or something. So I don't know what would we like to design location wise. It could be the city where she lives. It could be um, the artificer's headquarters. It could be the cave where the artificer is dumping all of this. I don't even know, like magical um, used reagents. The cave. All right, let's do the cave. I am gonna switch over my journal. Okay, and this is actually interesting because from this cave, I would say that next week we would be able to design whatever monsters live in this cave, which would be really cool. Um, just gonna do a hair adjustment here because it's bugging me. And yeah, so we could next week look at um, designing whatever creatures live in the cave. And that would be a very interesting exercise as well because I think what did live in the cave was probably a creature that is part of the natural world, but um, you know, these reagents have had an effect on the creatures in the cave, and so we would potentially have um, a base creature and then a creature that has been impacted somehow by the by environmental impact here. Um, okay, so location, cave. Um, so some of the things we already know about the cave, I will write here. So what we've established. So the artificer, Kieran Lovegood, artificer, has dumped reagents here, used reagents. Uh, that has had an environmental impact. Um, environmental impact includes, I guess, like affecting some of the natural resources. Yeah, Bloodgood does sound creepier. I think we went with this innocuous name because we didn't want it to seem like the artificer was evil just by read off of his name. Environmental impact includes, at the same time, this is one of those things where we can we can decide at a later point, Lovegood probably doesn't work for this artificer, and we're going to go with Bloodgood because it sounds cooler. Um, environmental impact includes um, impact on or environmental impact includes um, sort of, I guess, like some of the resources nearby have been affected. And we also know that the wildlife here has been affected. I can just lump that together though. Okay, wildlife, or maybe just wildlife generally. And so I believe it was, yeah, I believe it was you, Andy, who pointed out last week that, it can't be too widespread because so this environmental impact has caused Dahlia's sister to be ill. Um, but the question was, why wouldn't Dahlia, sorry, why wouldn't Dahlia be ill? And why wouldn't, a lot of um, city residents be ill? And I was thinking about that, and one of the things I mentioned last week was the possibility that it's just something that Dahlia's sister Dandelion, um, it's just something that is very specific to her tastes, maybe. So one of the things I was thinking after we wrapped up was maybe it's something like mushroom foraging. Maybe Dandelion loves mushrooms and Dahlia does not. Um, so we would know that um, it would impact a very small number of people who or goblin kinds, humanoids, who forage for these mushrooms in the local caves or something like that, where it's not widespread. And but it would also have an impact on like the local fauna in that area as well, maybe the flora as well, depending, mushroom spores or something like that. So, yeah, what do we want to make? What do we think that has been impacted here? Is it mushrooms? Is it because I think it would have to be something that actually grows near or in the cave without having an impact. Yeah, maybe Dandelion discovered the area's mushrooms but hasn't told others. Otherwise, all mushroom foragers would be sick. That's true. So, so maybe this cave. How about this though? What if whatever is being dumped in the cave is causing these interesting mushrooms to grow? Um, so they are a very unique type of mushroom. Yeah. Um, and that's why Dandelion hasn't told anybody else yet because um, she wasn't really sure about them. Um, but she ate them and she was fine until she wasn't. Um, and maybe it's just a one-time thing. Like she ate these mushrooms once, but they have such a maybe they have like a slow release or something. Um, and that's why she didn't connect the two. Because I think if you ate mushrooms and were sick, you would probably connect the dots real quick. Um, all right, so we're gonna say that new mushrooms, new type of mushroom has evolved as a result of reagents. And then we're just going to add one more fact here that Dandelion discovered them um, determined they were safe to eat, and did not fall ill until maybe like a week later. All right, so we've got, I think we've covered sort of like what we already know about this cave. Now we need to develop the cave a little bit more. Um, so, yeah, a reaction that built up and slowly became chronic. Exactly. Um, so now we need to think about, what lives in this cave? What is it well known in the area? Um, I would probably say no, because otherwise other people would have discovered these mushrooms. And I also think maybe uh, the artificer, Kieran Lovegood, would not be dumping in a place that is very well known. So I think we were able to answer that. It's not a well-known location. New new facts. Not a well-known location. I like that. Entrance is hard to spot. Um, we can come up, maybe, I don't know if it will have a name, because if it's so difficult to find, it might not be named, but we could name it. Um, or the artificer might just call it by some name. Um, we could also name the area that it's in instead. Um, so do we think it might be in a forest or a mountain? Um, it's got to be somewhere just on the outskirts of the city, to be within, hiking distance, um, because Dahlia and Dandelion do live in the city. The woods, located in the woods within hiking distance of the big city. All right, so because it's in the woods, we would know that, um, certain creatures would probably prefer to live here. Of course, we're talking about a fantasy world too. So, yes, well away from proper popular hiking trails. That's a very good point. Because we do want to ensure that um, the average person isn't just walking over there accidentally. This is only because um, Dandelion discovered this spot, and it also happens to be the spot where the artificer is dumping these reagents. So we need to think about, what kind of creatures might actually live in this cave. And again, um, so I'm just going to draw back from Delivered, which I was streaming on Monday, and in that solo RPG, um, there was a creature uh, that was on one of the planets, and this is exactly why I started doing the game design lab because we had so many like really fun we have so many fun conversations about like um, what could exist on planets and sort of world building together. And so, I was trying to think of something really cute. Somebody mentioned, really adorable bears. And then so I think somebody else from there said koalas. And instead of just making it a koala because this setting is space. So I thought koala with, I don't know, I wanted to make it like adorable, but also like super dangerous predator, like apex predator, basically, like the opposite of what you think a koala would be. So it has like razor sharp claws that can claw through metal, and it also can basically fly because I gave it like sugar glider flying squirrel flaps. um so yeah, I'm just trying to think of like, we're in a goblin world. What kind of creature could live in a cave? So it wouldn't necessarily just be a bear or a wolf or a fox. um and then based on that, I think we could design a creature next week. Um, so yeah, we're in the woods. Mushrooms can grow in this cave based on the reagents. Um, it's probably not something super dangerous because then, this is the helpful thing about, establishing what we already know because, the artificer was able to go in there um, multiple times to dump the reagents. Um, Dandelion was able to forage without any danger there, besides the mushrooms that have, caused her this chronic illness. So I think it would have to be something small. Um, could be bats even, refuge for prey creatures. Yep. Um, so it could be, some type of bat, some type of rabbit type creature, or mouse type creature, or what else lives in caves? I'm gonna take a look on the internet to get some inspiration here and just sort of list off some creatures. So animals that live in caves. Bats, bats, bats. Um, so many bats. Salamanders. Um, Lots of different types of insects like uh, millipedes, beetles, um, different types of fish, and crayfish. I do like the idea of a salamander. Yeah, salamanders are cool. What is going to make this I like that it's an amphibian, like an amphibian too, because that makes it more dangerous when it becomes more evolved, um, or mutated or whatever these reagents are gonna do. So let's I suppose it could be like a type of cave frog too. Um, Maybe it's a type of like uh, a salamander that is also has chameleon abilities, so it can blend into a lot of things. Um, which also would make it pretty dangerous when it evolves into whatever creature we're gonna make next week. uh, um, all right, let's make it a chameleon, a salamander with chameleon abilities. Salamander. So they live in this cave. Um, I should probably try to name these things. Um, Again, for the purposes of next week when we design the actual monster. Um, feel like camo something or hidden something. Again, I'm just gonna look on the internet, try to think of some things that might inspire um, some more names here. Camouflage. Okay, so from National Geographic Society, I've got camouflage, also called cryptic coloration, is a defense or tactic that organisms use to disguise their appearance, usually to blend in with their surroundings. Organisms use camouflage to mask their location, identity, movement. This allows prey to avoid predators and for predators to sneak up on prey. Um, oh, here. Examples include leopard's spotted coat, uh, battle dress of modern soldier, and the leaf mimic uh, katydid's wings. So I like the idea of using the word mimic um, in here because it makes it sound more fantasy. Um, camel. Camel cryptic is a very fun word too, yeah. Gosh. What about, oh yes. I'm just having trouble reading it. I wasn't sure if it was Blan or Bian. Yeah, amphibian. Camelbian. That's cute. Um, Camelbian. I was also thinking, like Salamimic. Camel. Gonna write down some of these combos here. Camo. I will put it all in one word. Camobian. Salamimic. Camobian. Cryptomander. You did it. I love it. Cryptomander. We have a winner. Just I love it. So we have cryptomanders that live in this this cave, and so they have this chameleon ability. They have been impacted. Hello, Socialist Pie. It is such a very cool name, and so what we're doing is we're building out the cave location where the artificer um, from last week's game design lab um, has been dumping the reagents, and we're trying to figure out, you know, what the creatures are that live in this cave. We established because the um, artificer and because Dandelion, Dahlia's sister, were able to go into this cave. It probably isn't something dangerous or an apex predator of any kind. Um, so we're trying to look for, um, more like prey type creatures. Um, yeah, that live in this cave. And so we landed on salamanders and salamanders with a chameleon type ability. And then we were just trying to come up with some kind of fun name for them. And I love Cryptomander. Um, so we have these little Cryptomanders living in this cave. However, in next week's episode, what we'll do is we're going to design what has happened to these Cryptomanders and then create a monster. Um, we might make a monster stat block specifically either for D&D or on the side we could also just make the lore and abilities for this creature to drop into any game. But yeah, right now we're just trying to come up with a little bit more about this location. Um, Thinking that the cave itself doesn't have a name per se because it's off the beaten track. It's really only probably the artificer and Dandelion might know about this place. They otherwise people would be getting sick. We also established that Dandelion, um, yeah, Cryptomander is going to be way less cryptic and more obvious when they turn into a monster. We also established that Dandelion discovered this new type of mushroom in the caves. The mushrooms sort of evolved from the reagents in this cave. After testing out the mushrooms, though, she determined that they were safe. And it's only like about a week or so later that dandelion started becoming ill, and I think there's like a slow release factor attached to these mushrooms. Um, so I guess the next question is like, what do these mushrooms do? Why do they affect goblins in this way and salamanders in a different way? Um, where Well, I suppose though dandelion was eating directly from the mushrooms, but the reagents have done something to the salamanders. I think there needs to be like a common factor though, um, in terms of some of the effects here. So yeah, these reagents have created mushrooms that are not gonna, it's not poisonous to, um, oh, I just had a thought. So the reagents have caused, yeah, it could be a neurotoxin, but I'm also thinking, what if Dandelion is actually really sick because she's turning into something? Um, because the reagents have affected the uh, cryptomanders in a way that they've turned into something else. Um, so maybe it just presents as a chronic illness until such time as she transforms. Yeah, slower process for dandelion, whereas the cryptomanders are so tiny that it just goes through their system really fast, and they're, yes, less complex nervous system. I think this works using science from the real world into our fantasy world. Um, all right, I am going to add that note here. How am I going to do this? So, um, oopsie. Cryptomanders have transformed into monstrous evolutions. And then Dandelion's illness is actually I guess part of a similar um, reaction. And then I'll write here that the cryptomancers, whoopsie, cryptomancers, cryptomanders evolved faster because of their size and less complex nervous system. Cryptomancers are a new subclass. Yes, I think So we have not just designed a cave location and fantasy animal, we have also designed a new subclass to be featured in a future game design lab. All right. So one question I have is, what do we think that these cryptomanders eat? Um, I don't even know what salamanders actually eat. Do they eat insects? Are they omnivores? I would assume they're omnivores, but salamanders eat many small animals, from insects to spiders to worms. They consume several creatures that people consider pests. Well, that's nice of them. All right, so I'm gonna put a new category here for cryptomans. I swear we're gonna have to design a cryptomancer. Cryptomander. So yes, not eating the mushrooms. I'm gonna say just some little facts about these creatures are that their size is tiny. Um, Habitat, um, dark caves, um, diet, insects, insects and bugs. Um, I can't recall if salamanders are the ones that, I think they're the ones that can regenerate parts, right? What's that called again? There's a scientific term for it. Cell generation. I would like to get the name because it's going to bother me otherwise. Um, I knew this at one point because so I wrote a series of werewolf novels, young adult novels, um, before I became a game designer, um, and I used a lot of science to create science fiction, and this was one of the things that I added in there. And is it just regeneration? Limb regeneration? I thought there was like an actual like term for it. I'm gonna write just limb regeneration. So abilities, limb regeneration. They'll be able to, I think, like climb on walls. Anamorphic, is that it? I don't know if that's the one that I was thinking of, but um, I'll figure it out when I actually put together this this document for this. Um, Okay, limb regeneration, what was the other thing? They can climb walls? Um, epimorphosis. Epimorphosis. I love it. Yep. Tissues and organs. I wonder if this is just, does this just apply to invertebrates or? Sorry, I can easily go down like research rabbit holes. I'm gonna just not do that on stream. Thank you though. I'm gonna write a little note here. Right over here. All right. All right. So salamanders can regenerate their limbs. They can climb wall, or I guess they're not just salamanders. They're cryptomanders. They also have camouflage. And what else are we thinking? That's, I mean, that's probably enough. Um, you know, when, especially when we're keeping in mind, like, you know, this is going to be just a base creature that is not, it's not a predator. Um, um, it is, it's a prey creature. However, you know, we want to ensure that whatever the base creature is, when we are going to evolve this into something way more dangerous, um, you know, we're looking at things like this limb regeneration thing on a predator. Um, that's going to be something to deal with. Being able to climb walls, being able to camouflage itself. We have like a very cool um, basis for a very dangerous evolved version of whatever this is. Um, There we go. It could have eaten the insects that ate the mushrooms. Yeah. Um, mm, and that is how um, that slowly affected their systems as well. Um, I guess the last thing I want to do is, you know, sort of just give a name for the area that they're like this wooded area that they go to, where this cave exists. Um, So it is a wooded area outside the big city, within hiking distance. I imagine, you know, it's a pretty tranquil place. Um, we don't even have a name for the big city yet, so all we know is that there is at least one goblin family that lives in this city. Um, Hmm. We could name the cave. I think it would be probably a cave that doesn't officially have a name because it isn't on a map. Because if it was on a map, more people would actually try going there. Um, Alternatively, it could be just a cave uh, within a bigger network of caves. Um, so we could name the network of caves, and then this is just like a really difficult to find um, section of that cave network. Yes, I agree that the artificer probably has a name for it. Um, it's probably not like a great name though. I would because it's, to the artificer, it's just a dumping ground, right? So it's dark. It's probably very damp in there as well. Um, Casual name. Wonder if it's like just yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Andy. I was gonna go and look at thesaurus uh, and just see, what other words for uh, trash can or landfill or something like that. Depot, junkyard, ash heap, disposal area, dumping ground, garbage loss, hazardous waste dump. That's two on the nose. Rubbish pile, refuse heap. Um, no. Heap, heap, and then cave, cavern. Let's look up. Garbage grotto. Something whole. Hmm. Trash hole. Could accidentally say another word though. This is a family-friendly show. Um, Trash pit. What about trash pit? All right, we're gonna call it the trash pit. Here we go. I'm gonna go back to the start here. Cave. Um, the trash All right. So we have, I can picture him muttering it to himself at the end of the day. Just need to make a quick stop at the trash pit. Yeah, exactly. Um, which is also, helpful for, you know, having this cover where Dahlia doesn't quite know exactly what he's been doing because he just calls it the trash pit and she just assumes, he's going to an actual trash pit um, or landfill site. So yeah, um, we have designed the trash pit and um, I'm going to put this together into something a little more comprehensible rather than just these random scratchpad notes here. And I think next week we're going to create create a monster version of the Cryptomanders, and I will probably not just do the lore, but I might look at doing a stat block as well. Um, I guess it'll really depend on how much time we have. We might only have time for the lower part. Um, but I could also try doing the stat block part outside of stream and then post that in Patreon. But I am having so much fun with Game Design Lab. I really appreciate all the back and forth in chat. It's really fun just coming up with these random things, building this little world for Dahlia to live in. But yeah, next week we'll do some work on a monster, and I will be streaming my craft stream on Friday. No worries. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to stream next week because my kid is off school, preschool, but I think I'll be able to do it. Probably won't do the craft stream on Friday, but I will stream the solo RPG on Monday and another um, game design lab. Um, on Friday, I will be continuing my cross stitch, which I don't think will be finished at that point. I have been making some decent progress here. Um, just gonna transition my camera here. So yeah, I've got all this done. I still need to do this. That will probably be done by Friday, and then all the words I think I'm gonna start working on Friday here. Um, yeah, I'm really pleased. I think I'm almost ready to move on from beginner to some intermediate stuff instead of just doing the full cross stitch, getting some other stitches in, which I'm excited for. Um, yeah, I guess that's it for now. I'll see some of you online on Discord. I again really appreciate you all joining in here and being a part of like this sort of experiment of designing these things and learning together. Thanks again, and I hope I'll see you on Friday. But if not, I'll see you at some point. All right, bye everyone.